In Alien Earth, the Prodigy Corporation emerges as a rival to Weyland-Yutani, the company that has been pulling the strings in the Alien films for over 45 years. Prodigy will not be competing in colonization or terraforming, but by advancing a radically different vision of artificial life. Their core innovation is the creation of hybrid, synthetic children, known collectively in this story as hybrids, formed by uploading the minds of terminally ill human children into cybernetic bodies. The most important of these is Wendy, the first hybrid. She is a being created through neural transference and is the only hybrid being granted an experimental chance at full emotional integration. Wendy's mind comes from a 12-year-old girl named Marcy. She becomes the world's first human-synthetic hybrid, a being with a human consciousness housed in a durable artificial form. This process isn't cloning, nor is it standard android construction. Instead, Prodigy digitizes the cognitive essence of the child and implants that consciousness into a fully synthetic body. Wendy's development has been tailored to include emotional continuity, giving her not just memory, but grief, joy, longing, and fear. That emotional depth will define her arc across the series. Memory, emotion, and synthetic morality. Wendy is unique in the Alien canon for one defining trait: she feels. Her emotional programming sets her apart from previous synthetics like Ash, Bishop, and David. Where Ash followed orders with cold detachment, Bishop showed ethical restraint, and David became a nihilist obsessed with creation, Wendy is the first to experience emotional conflict driven by human memories. She does not merely simulate emotion, she actually remembers what they feel like from her own human childhood. These memories make her both empathetic and unstable, a combination that challenges the control Prodigy seeks to impose. She doesn't just obey orders, she questions the morality of those orders. In one early scene, Wendy hesitates before issuing a kill command, something no prior synthetic has done in the franchise. Her decisions are anchored not in logic, but in compassion and fear. This emotional capability also links her to Call, the scientific played by Winona Ryder in Alien Resurrection, who similarly showed signs of guilt and moral rebellion, albeit in a more embryonic narrative role. Wendy's inner conflict is deeper and more centralized to the story. More recently, parallels may be drawn to Alien Romulus, where Andy and Rook, newer synthetic entities, begin exploring the blurred line between programming and autonomy. But unlike them, Wendy is not guided by corporate oversight or mission logic. She's guided by personal memory and unresolved grief. Within the narrative, she will become a mirror to the show's central theme: what happens when machines remember who they used to be? If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Lost Boys versus the Hive. The Lost Boys, a militarized cohort of synthetic children, stand as one of the boldest concepts introduced in Alien Earth. Each member is a resurrected mind from a dying child, encoded and embedded into a synthetic frame. While they share common origins with Wendy, most of the Lost Boys lack her full emotional range. Collectively, they are intelligent, fast, tactically trained, and capable of executing missions with eerie precision. But they are still individuals, fragmented children bound by memory, some of it traumatic, and by their synthetic condition. When the Weyland-Yutani vessel Maginot crashes on Earth, the Lost Boys are deployed by Prodigy to investigate. Unbeknownst to them, the ship was carrying specimens of alien life, evidence of early xenomorph-like organisms. This begins a narrative that will see the Lost Boys and Wendy encountering, confronting, and being changed by the alien threat. The contrast is fundamental. The xenomorph represents biological evolution devoid of empathy. The Lost Boys represent emotional resurrection inside synthetic bodies. One is a perfect organism. The other is a flawed attempt at preserving personhood beyond death. This sets the stage for a conflict not just of survival, but of synthetic children learning fear, rage, and resistance as they face down an ancient, inhuman horror. Wendy versus alien lore. Wendy marks a turning point in the Alien canon. Her existence as a synthetic with emotional identity upends the franchise's long-running themes of artificiality versus humanity. Unlike previous synthetics who either sought domination, David, deception, Ash, or moral subservience, Bishop, Wendy embodies something more radical: memory as soul. Her narrative roots reach back to Prometheus, which questioned the role of creators and their responsibility to creations. But whereas David became a god-complex villain, Wendy is the opposite, a product of creation that retains empathy. If David was Frankenstein's monster, Wendy is Pinocchio. Synthetic, emotionally alive, and trapped in a world that won't allow her to be real. Wendy also changes the body horror tradition of the franchise. While earlier films depicted violation of flesh, of autonomy, of motherhood, Alien Earth introduces Wendy as a figure of post-human recovery. She is not infected, assimilated, or gestated. She is reconstructed, remembered, and aware of it. Are you excited about this new direction or skeptical? Let us know in the comments. In franchise terms, Wendy may be the first synthetic to authentically evolve, not by becoming more alien, but by holding on to what made her human. In this, she echoes the trajectory hinted at by newer characters like Rook and Andy from Alien Romulus, while pushing further into the emotional and philosophical heart of the franchise.
Alien Earth weaves together established alien motifs, corporate overreach, artificial life, and biomechanical horror with new themes like digital resurrection and synthetic childhood.
The show uses Peter Pan as a simple metaphor. Wendy and the Lost Boys are children who never grow up. They were dying humans brought back in synthetic bodies and now live outside the normal human experience. Just like the characters in Peter Pan, they're stuck, unchanging, unaging, and emotionally adrift. In this version, Earth becomes the new Neverland, a place where these children navigate danger and wonder, but without the safety of fairy tales. And like in Barry's story, there's a cost to staying young forever. The series also hints at religious themes. Critics point out that resurrecting children in metal bodies suggests a new kind of salvation, one without heaven. These aren't angels, they're tools made to fight. Wendy's story isn't about heroism. It's about whether a synthetic child can hold on to her sense of self and what she believes is right, while surviving in a world built to control her.
Creative intentions. Showrunner Noah Hawley approaches Alien Earth as more than a creature feature. He describes it as a story about memory and identity. Rather than repeat the usual Alien formula, Hawley wanted to explore fear through a new lens, one shaped by grief, control, and artificial resurrection. He asked, "What does fear mean when death is no longer the end?" He drew inspiration from stories like Frankenstein, Pinocchio, and Peter Pan, blending those ideas with the world of Alien. Wendy, he says, was created as a counterpoint to David from Prometheus. Where David wants to become God, Wendy is trying to remember how to be human. The show's visual design, industrial, gritty, and sometimes organic, mirrors this idea of emotional and mechanical tension. FX called it a high-concept story with real emotions, built to expand the franchise while asking deeper questions. The body horror is still there, one producer said, but now with psychological too. What happens when your body is no longer yours, but your memories are? Alien Earth is right around the corner, and we'll be covering every development in detail. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing.